You want me to put that on my Tudor?
The attention stealer. Narcissists are attention stealers. Whether it's your birthday, your wedding, a funeral, whether it's an announcement about your promotion, the fact that you've won a trophy, the narcissist can't stand the attention being elsewhere. This reminds the narcissist that they are weak, vulnerable, lacking in power, and that is not something that a narcissist can stand. The fact that all eyes are elsewhere means that fuel is going elsewhere. The narcissist is being starved and they're also being wounded. It's a terrible double whammy for the narcissist. And therefore, with knee-jerk precision, the narcissist steps in to assist the narcissist to nullify this threat to control and to garner fuel to make up for the shortfall that has occurred. This might be by causing the narcissist to turn on the charm and flattery towards somebody in order to bring eyes onto them. More usually, with your more base narcissists, your lesser narcissists, they will engage in some kind of outrageous behavior, knocking over the wedding cake, pissing in the fireplace at Christmas in front of outraged uncles and aunties and grandma. All of those behaviors are designed by the narcissism to disrupt the proceedings where everybody is looking elsewhere and bring attention onto the narcissist, thus meaning that fuel is received and the wounding is halted. With mid-range narcissists, it may be in a more covert way, where the relevant narcissist bitchily comments about the person getting a promotion by whispering to their colleague, "I hear she only got it because she sucked the dick of the CEO," causing that person to respond with a laugh or perhaps in agreement, thus providing the narcissist with some attention and fuel, and bringing attention back onto them, of course. In some instances, it might be at somebody's birthday, impromptu taking the mic away from somebody and say, "I would just like to say a few words about the birthday girl. Well, I've known Lydia since we were both 4 years old." And then they basically talk about themselves, making it seem like they're talking about the person whose birthday it is. Of course, all eyes are now on the narcissist. Most people would be too polite to say, "Shut up, get off, stop talking about you," and instead will politely provide applause. Those of you who've had involvement with narcissists will have seen the various attempts of the narcissist to steal the thunder, to get the limelight back onto them, to steal the attention. And of course, we all know that as a mid-range narcissist, Harry's wife is no different, that the impending coronation is an absolute nightmare for her because nobody wants to be talking about her, and instead they'll be talking about the king's coronation. And because she is the Duchess of Sussex, thereby maintaining a link to the royal family, it's going to keep coming up on her radar. And thus, she needs to keep pulling the PR stunts. She needs to engage in the banal proclamations to try and get people to continue to talk about her. And as I've mentioned before, it works. Because she's such a divisive character, her supporters automatically feel that they have to defend her because they see this as more criticism and onslaught against her. And the many detractors who are now increasing in number say, "Oh yes, here she is again, trying to seek attention," and thus they talk about her. The most effective thing would be for there to be a complete embargo on Harry's wife during the coronation and actually beyond. But it's not going to happen, because if certain news outlets decided, "Do you know what, we're not going to report on her," there'll be others that would take advantage of the lacuna that's created by that and instead say, "We're going to increase our coverage of her. The Mail and the Express and the Mirror aren't talking about her. Great. That means we're going to get more readers coming to us because there are still plenty of people who are interested in her." Admittedly, their interest in her is not mainly because they like her. It's a sort of grudge basis that they want to see the train wreck. They want to see her crash and burn. But they will still read the articles. They will still click on them. They will still watch the videos. And therefore, her narcissism recognizes this, that it needs to have her spoken about. It needs to have her commented on. Remember, love me, hate me, never ignore me. Accordingly, her narcissism compels her to try and overshadow the coronation. And this is something that has been identified, of course, by me, and in this instance, by Dan Wooten in the Mail Online, who states, The Hollywood announcement, dramatic makeover and basketball PDA that wasn't. Why Harry's wife's PR stunts are a shameful bid to steal attention from the king in his coronation week. And indeed they are. It was a predictable script taken straight out of Harry's wife's masterclass in How to Get Everyone Talking About Me Again, Hollywood PR 101. After months of purposefully shunning the spotlight, allowing her hapless husband Harry to shoulder the backlash against his grotesque and unnecessarily nasty royal shaming tell-all spare, the Duchess of Woke has viscerally exploded back into public consciousness, with a three-step campaign seemingly taken straight from the Princess Diana playbook. Well, I doubt that she's actually in this instance duplicating Diana, although she has in the past, and instead it's more than a three-step campaign. There are more instances of her behaviour of trying to get the limelight back onto her. However, Mr. Wooten states, 23rd of April, unveil the Monty Shit Show Revenge Makeover, revealing a dramatic new look to the world while supporting a good cause, in this case introducing a TED Talk for a woke friend. Diana did it too. In July 1994, when she stepped out for a London event looking spectacular in her little black revenge dress to successfully steal attention away from Charles's dramatic TV confession of adultery. 25th of April, appeared alongside Harry at the Lakers basketball game surrounded by work colleagues in a highly orchestrated public appearance quashing any rumours that the Sussexes were living increasingly separate lives, but then rejected her husband's attempt at a cheesy public display of affection while being filmed on the famous kiss cam. Public devaluation, see parts passim. Diana did it too. In February 1992, when she turned her cheek when her then-husband attempted to kiss her after an awkward awards presentation at the Polo 24 hours before Valentine's Day, prompting intense speculation about the, by then, failed royal marriage. 27th of April, make a major announcement about signing with a Hollywood super agent in a pre-orchestrated publicity drive released directly to the entertainment Bible Variety to make maximum waves. Diana did it too. In November 1994, the princess used the media to signal a partial return to working life via the Red Cross following a year off, after discovering her husband Charles had vetoed a role as a roving ambassador for the United Kingdom, so she didn't steal attention from his charity projects. Now, of course, Harry's wife is her own woman who is no longer part of the royal family, and has no need to coordinate her media activities, something she hated doing with a passion while part of the Buckingham Palace setup. Nullification of threat to control. But it is no coincidence that this trio of major interventions, and of course there are more of them actually, occurred just 1 week before the coronation of King Charles III, the most important day in her father-in-law's life. It seems Harry's wife strategically timed her almost total disappearance from the spotlight for 4 months, a lifetime in Californian terms, in order to make maximum impact when she did emerge at this critical juncture. Actually, it wasn't strategically done, it's serendipity for her. She retreated from public view for other reasons, as I've explained in parts passim. Remember, she is a narcissist that operates in the moment. Even the Sussex squad must concede there was absolutely no reason why any of these trio of PR events had to take place in the past week. Indeed, but they have to take place in the world of Harry's wife. And there is also no doubt Harry's wife would have been acutely aware of the attention she would receive by going public after hibernating for such a long time, just before a major moment for the British monarchy. But were wise to Harry's wife's games by now. This is nothing short of a desperate and shameless bid to steal attention from the new king in his coronation week, because, I believe, she's jealous she won't be part of it. No, what you mean is that she's envious that she won't be a part of it. Having decided it is just too risky to join her husband at the coronation, given the likelihood she would be booed by the royalist heavy crowds in London this Saturday, there was no opportunity for Harry's wife to re-emerge via the first coronation in 70 years, as she may have initially planned. So now she's doing it her own way, guerrilla style. Harry's wife seems oblivious to the fact that the public has now caught on to her game plan, with every money-making or attention-stealing stunt sending her popularity plummeting further on both sides of the Atlantic. Indeed, she's blinded to the collateral consequences. A Daily Mail poll today showed just how bad things have gotten in Britain, with Harry and Harry's wife on approval ratings of just 22% and 18% respectively, making only Prince Andrew less liked. Adding to their predicament, only a third of the population believe the couple's wild accusations against the royal family. But Harry's wife seems to have no idea her PR campaign this past week is yet another major own goal. No wonder she gets through advisors as quickly as eco-hypocrite Harry hires new private jets. Imagine the hapless Archwell staff member sent to the Monty Shit Show Love Dungeon to plead, how about we just hold off for 2 weeks on all of this to give the king the moment he's been waiting 7 decades for unchallenged. After all, the bloke did walk you down the aisle. Surely he deserves that much. Such truth-tellers in the world of the Sussexes are dismissed with a brutal speed. And when you live in an orbit of yes people, that's why these mistakes keep happening. It also keeps happening because she's blinded to her behaviours by her narcissism. Of course, the Markle family themselves have also added to the distraction this week, with her lovely dad Thomas, a decent man, emerging for the first time in a year since suffering a near-fatal stroke to plead with his daughter for one more chance in a heartbreaking Australian TV special. Again, I only blame Harry's wife for these sorts of interventions. She brutally exorcised her family from her life out of embarrassment in one of the cruelest acts I can remember from a public figure. Disengagement of secondary sources because they were seen as disloyal and treacherous. Especially given the fact that Emmy-winning Hollywood lighting director Thomas raged her for much of her childhood and teenage years. Why should he go away quietly now? Harry's wife is the only person who could stop this sideshow by doing the decent thing and reunited with the person who provided her with all the tools she needed to become a Hollywood actress before it's too late. Instead, she will continue to convince herself Dad is persona non grata, even though he's alive and kicking a few hours down the Pacific Coast Highway in Mexico, and plot her next PR stunt. Having jettisoned many of her original and loyal team, shelving or disengagement, she's now surrounded by the biggest beasts in Hollywood at the WME agency, including the original star maker himself, Ari Emanuel. The Variety puff piece announcing her deal trumpeted Harry's wife is a global icon. Perhaps to Hollywood woke-topians she is. But her behaviour last week, seemingly designed to deliberately divert attention from the coronation, of course it is, thanks to her Me, Harry's wife Hollywood sideshow, is not the behaviour of an icon, but a fallen star. A fallen star who had the potential to change the world from within the British royal family, but let her outsized ego ruin it all. Or rather, her narcissism was up to the job of getting her in, it wasn't up to the job of keeping her in. We can't ignore her shameful PR stunts, but at least we can now see through them and snigger. Dan Wooten there, identifying that it is all driven by a need to make it all about her and to take attention away from the king in, of course, what is the most important week of his life, leading up to the most important event of his life. But Harry's wife doesn't care because she has to upstage the coronation. She is a bitter individual driven by her narcissism. Of course, she will continue to do this, and unfortunately, it will continue to be reported because, as I've explained, that whilst it would be advantageous for the media and everybody else to just ignore her, it's not going to happen just yet because ultimately people remain interested in her, even if it is for grudge reasons, and that interest equates to clicks, readership, and advertising revenue. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.